Alright, so in this video today, I'm going to be going over how Chrome Huskies work, how to play around and counter them, how to permanently get rid of them, and how to in general just deal with them no matter what mission you might be playing in. But with all of that being said, let's jump straight on into it. Now before I go on and talk about how to counter and deal with Chrome Huskies, in all of the different missions, I want to mention that if you get this quest done, the quest is called Magnets. You can find it in page 9 out of 11 in Blockbuster. And when you get this quest done, it will get rid of Chrome Huskies for the rest of the season. Notice how I said the rest of the season? Because Chrome Huskies are tied with the Blockbuster event. So when Blockbuster leaves, Chrome Huskies will leave. When Blockbuster returns, Chrome Huskies will return, even if you got the quest Magnets done. And also, when you have someone on your team with Magnets complete, you won't have to deal with Chrome Huskies at all in that person's lobby at all. And also, before you actually get to Magnets, you will have to complete 2 custom missions that are in Ventures. And this is where you could find them. Just go straight to Ventures when you see the little book icons. And ignore that, I just passed it. When you see the book icons, either scan the comment or a sharpened dress plan, that's where you need to go to progress your Blockbuster quest line. I just thought I would mention this because you do have to do both scan the comment and sharpened dress plan to be able to progress your Blockbuster quest line if you want to actually get rid of Chrome Huskies. You do have to do it. Alright, so now let's talk about what the hell even are Chrome Huskies. So Chrome Huskies are player hunters. All player hunters, like pitchers, huskwings, gunslingers, blasters, takers, they all drop everything to try and kill you, your teammates, your defenders, your animals, and I guess survivors, but I really doubt there's going to be survivors, of course, near your objective. But yeah, you can see here that the Chrome Husky does not care about the Atlas at all, it just wants to kill me. So you don't have to worry about these guys ever when it comes to if, you have a sort of opening in your objective. These guys will not damage the objective at all, no matter which one it is. Now let's talk about how you could even kill them, because if you noticed in that clip, the Chrome Husky wasn't actually fully dying, and that is for a very good reason. Chrome Huskies, if you want to kill them fully, and you don't want them to just get knocked down, you have to use a weapon or ability that does either frost or fire damage. Anything that does energy, physical, or nature damage, if it is the killing hit, it will just knock the Chrome Husky down. They will go into a down state, and after 5 or so seconds, they will revive themselves back at full health, trying to kill you again. But if you use a weapon or ability that does fire or water damage, that will fully get rid of the Chrome Husky. He will die, and he will not be a problem at all. So a weapon like the Primal Flame Bow as an example, it hits fire damage, so it's a great weapon to of course use against Chrome Huskies. But a weapon like the Ancient's Launcher is a horrible weapon to use against Chrome Huskies because it does energy damage. But a weapon like this Shaq's Revenge is a horrible weapon to use against Chrome Huskies because it hits energy damage. But if I do this simple swap and make it do ice damage, now it's a really good weapon to use against Chrome Huskies because it does ice damage. You need either ice or fire if you want to fully get rid of Chrome Huskies. But for those of you that might actually be thinking while actually watching this video, you might be wondering, okay, that's neat and all, but what do I actually do against all of the different elements? Like Chrome Huskies can have different elements like fire, water, and nature. Because obviously against a nature Chrome Husky I'm going to be using fire. Against a fire Chrome Husky I'm going to be using water. But what do I use against a water Chrome Husky? You can't use fire, and you can't use water. And you can't use nature because that's not going to kill him. So what element do you actually use against that sort of Chrome Husky elemental type? And well, the answer is very simple. Just use a nature weapon. I'm going to take the Sir Lancelot as an example, mostly because I think it's a really good example because it can have any element in the game. So it should be perfect for this example. So I'm going to switch the element from energy to nature, So if I'm in a water zone, I can use this as my primary weapon. And it should be a great weapon to use as your primary weapon, because it's going to be able to stab everything. But we could use a secondary weapon, like this pummeler as an example. So we can use this Lancelot to basically kill everything and drop the health of the Chrome Husky down to like 1 or 2 hits left. And then pull out our pummeler that hits water damage to instantly get rid of that Chrome Husky. And just like that, you can use a nature weapon against a Chrome Husky. And as long as you're running a secondary weapon, you shouldn't really have much of an issue against them, even if they are a water elemental Chrome Husky or any other elemental Chrome Huskies. If you are limited on, of course, the, weapons for different elements, if you might be playing Fencers, of course. Now, let's talk about some ways on how you can trap out Chrome Huskies. Because trust me, there's a lot of ways to trap out these guys. Of course, a really simple and easy way to, trap out Chrome Huskies, just use physic traps. So traps like floor launchers as well as wall launchers to just launch enemies off the edge of the map. That's definitely a really good way to get rid of Chrome Huskies. It will basically insta-kill them, and you don't even need to run any sort of weapons. You could of course use both floor and wall launchers to launch them off the map, but currently right now as I'm making this video, wall launchers are currently bugged to not work at all. So you might have to use different options like high impact freeze floors, as well as of course tire traps. But make sure though, if you are of course, trying to stagger the enemies off the edge with both those traps, make sure when you are going to place those traps to have your back facing in the direction where you want enemies to be staggered in. So my back is facing towards the edge of the map, so if I were to place a freeze or a tire trap, they would just get staggered right off the edge. And you can also use wall lights too with high impact, and then edit a wall in a sort of Dorito-like shape. So when they of course walk near it, they just get staggered off and then fall off the map. I also do suggest doing that with both freeze and tires as well. It helps out quite a lot. Now let's talk about weapons, but for the same thing, because why not? So there is actually a huge plethora of certain support weapons, quote unquote. These are of course just sort of weapons that you can use to stun, freeze, or of course launch enemies with. So you can use of course certain weapons to of course launch the chromies, just sort of like in a spot where you want them to be in, either out of your trap tunnel, into traps, or just fly out off the map. These weapons are also really good too in supporting your teammates as well, because you can of course use them to of course get enemies off of your teammates if they are getting swarmed, or your defenders, or of course your animals. And also it's a great get the fuck off me button too, in case you also do yourself get swarmed, which that does happen from time to time, I would say. Not often, but when you're playing a random like encampment mission or eliminate and collect, it could happen from time to time. But other than that, let's talk about some of the weapons. So this is the Thunderbolt. This is a really good one, just great for basic crowds. The Pummeler is also a good one. It sacrifices like its area, unlike the Thunderbolt, but it has more range. So this one is honestly a nice one to have from time to time if you want to just camp on your roof and snipe Chrome Huskies. This one's a great one. We have the Compression Buster. This one's my favorite personally. You can use this one to, of course, once again, just camp on your roof and then just launch Chrome Huskies like just into a pit from across the map. This one's very good for smashers too because of that high impact. So I do highly suggest using this in combination with, of course, sort of like smasher control, I would say. But those are just a few weapons that I think are really good. There's honestly probably just like another 100 if I'm being honest with you, with how this game works. Now I get it. It might be a bit of an unethical way on how to deal with them, but, sometimes unethical is fine, Is it, of course, a sort of, unethical way on how to deal with them? Yeah, but is it a fun and very disrespectful way on how to deal with Chrome Huskies? It sure is. So that's why I'm, of course, including the support weapons. And also because I think, honestly, more people should use certain, support weapons like these more often. They do actually help out when you do need them from time to time. Alright, let's talk about more of a passive way on how to deal with Chrome Huskies. So I got a husk right here. This dude is from a husk patrol, all the way over there. You can see the twisters. Basically, his goal is to, of course, just get to the twisters, you know? That is how husk patrols work. They, of course, send a randomized group of enemies to patrol around your objective, or around you and your teammates. And their goal is to harass you and annoy you and potentially destroy your buildings and traps and waste your time and resources. These guys suck. We don't like them. So normally an easy way to deal with husk patrols is to basically kill all of them besides one of them, and to basically just drop them in a sort of box and just stall them until the end of time. Zombies or any other sort of mist monsters that come from husk patrols can never despawn, which means if you trap one of these dudes in a box, they're stuck there until those traps, of course, run out of their ability, or somehow they break through. But normally that doesn't happen if it's just like one little husk in a sort of like little box like this. And you can, of course, upgrade the sights if you want to really make sure that dude does not escape ever. Alright, so got everything built up, you know, just around the objective. And yeah, you can still see the twisters are still there. This guy is still sunwalk in the box. I'm done building, so I could just kill him. But you might be wondering, Ace Shoker, this is a video about how to counter chrome huskies. What the hell are you talking about husk patrols? And I'll get to that in a second, because even though it didn't take me that long to build, you have to realize that I still have those traps right there in that box, and I'll get back to them in a second. Alright, I got a few chrome huskies waddling over towards me. You remember that box that I used for those husk patrols to just stall them out? Well, you could just use the same for chrome huskies. So you get 2 for 1 right there. You don't have to deal with husk patrols of any kind when you're building, and you don't have to deal with chromies at all, ever, when you're defending. So it's a nice 2 for 1. So I do suggest, of course, having high durability strap schematic copies for freeze, sound walls, wall lights, whichever ones you prefer using. If you want to get a little bit more creative or technical, you could use 4 launchers, tires, and when they do fix wall launchers, of course, too. But yeah, very passive way on how to deal with chromies. Alright, let's talk about a more aggressive playstyle, you know? Like, when you hop into a mission, you want to murder sort of everything. So right here, I'm running a defender with a Shaxx Revenge. It does ice damage. And yeah, right here, I'm not doing anything. It's just my defender. And with, like, basically no crits, pretty much this chrome husky is pretty much dead. Defenders are extremely useful. You can shove them at the back of your trap tunnels or at the back of your defenses, and they will easily pick off chrome huskies very consistently. The game doesn't really send like huge rushes of chrome huskies. They normally send them one by one. So as long as you got a defender with a strong enough weapon that can do consistent amount of damage, they should be able to deal with chrome huskies very, very consistently. And also, these are some weapons I would recommend for dealing with chrome huskies. We have the Shaxx Revenge. This one's really good. If you have a defender shooting down a straight line, it's going to be able to pierce through all of those husks, as well as those chromies. And just make sure you watch out for splitters with this one. The Brown Beater is a very, very strong one to give to a defender. They're going to be able to, of course, shred down those smashers really, really nicely. And they can also help out a little bit with mini-bosses too. And well, if they're able to do well against smashers, they should be able to do well against chrome huskies. I feel like that one's a no-brainer, honestly. The Double Boiler basically is a Brown Beater, but does less damage but has AoE. So if a husk or husky wakes with a chrome husky, and the defender using this weapon shoots that regular husk or husky, yeah, the chrome husky is definitely going to die from that AoE damage. Very, very strong AoE damage, great against crowds, great against smashers, you know, very good weapon. The Bundle Bus, probably the best weapon, I would say, for a defender. Not only is it going to be able to deal with those chrome huskies, it's going to be able to deal with those smashers, but depending on how you set everything up, they can all gang up on the same guy because of the range. And this is also one of the best weapons to give to a defender if you don't want to deal with flingers. This is like a ridiculously good weapon for flingers. Probably the best passive way to deal with flingers in regular missions, I would say. The Dirk song is a very fun one to use for nature zones. Basically, it's like the bundle bus but as a SMG, but as explosions, so, you know, it's pretty good. It's going to be able to deal with leaks. It's alright against smashers, but it's definitely going to be dealing with those chrome huskies, no problem at all. Very good weapon. Next we have the Old Bessie. Basically, it's pretty much like the Shaq's Revenge, but as a sniper, so it has more range, so it can cover more ground. It still has that pierce, which is really nice. And yeah, again, great weapon to use. The Obliterator is also a great weapon too, to of course give to defenders, but I want to strongly mention that if you're building all of your traps at your objective, so building defensively, there's no telling what the defender is actually going to shoot and target at. Defenders do not have targeting priority. So that means when you have a bunch of smashers, husks on your roof, chrome huskies that want to kill you, you know, the defender could just shoot at a random huskling in a smoke screen. It's very important that if you are planning on using Obliterator defenders, to make sure to build trap tunnels. Don't build everything at your base, because these guys will just shoot husks at random. Random and unpredictableness is very bad when it comes to, of course, traps and defenders alike. But other than that, still a very good weapon to use for defenders. Can set it to, of course, ice or fire, and placement is not really that necessary with, of course, these sort of defenders at all, which is great. Well, just like that, I guess it's the end of the video. If you enjoy this sort of content, I do make this content quite often, so make sure to like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot. If you have any sort of feedback or request for any sort of loadout in the future that you want me to cover, make sure to leave a comment about it. And of course, share this video with, you know, anyone that likes Save the World, or that just needs help dealing with chrome huskies, you know. Chrome huskies are back and they're staying for quite a while, of course. But other than that, hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. See ya.